It was another chilly morning in London, the kind that wrapped the city in a grey fog, making every breath visible. Outside the grand entrance of the Britain's Got Talent auditorium, hundreds of hopeful contestants huddled in line, clutching their dreams close. Among them stood a small boy, no taller than Simon Cowell's shoulder if they were to meet, his shoes slightly worn, his jacket too big, and his heart pounding so loudly it almost drowned out the chatter around him. His name was Enzo Miguel Dela Cruz, a 10-year-old boy from a poor neighborhood in Quezon City, Philippines. He had arrived in London only a week earlier, along with his mother, Maria, who had worked as a domestic helper in Hong Kong for the past 5 years. Enzo's father had passed away from an illness when Enzo was 5, and since then, Maria had carried both the weight of grief and the burden of survival. Singing had been Enzo's escape, his refuge when the world seemed too hard for a child to understand. But today, he wasn't singing in the tiny streets of Manila for coins. He was standing in line for one of the world's biggest talent stages, hoping, praying, and trembling all at once. "Enzo, Anik," Maria whispered, brushing the dust off his jacket. "Don't be afraid, just sing like you're singing to Papa in heaven, okay?" Enzo nodded. "Yes, Mama, I'll do my best." He didn't know it yet, but that promise, to sing for his father, would soon echo in the hearts of millions. The audition hall buzzed with excitement. The lights were blinding, the stage massive, and the judges' table felt miles away. Simon Cowell sat in the middle, his usual calm demeanor and sharp eyes scanning the stage. To his right was Amanda Holden, smiling encouragingly, and beside her, Alicia Dixon. At the far end sat Bruno Tonioli, expressive as ever. When Enzo's name was called, he shuffled to the center of the stage, clutching the microphone like it was his lifeline. "Hello there, little man." Amanda greeted warmly. "What's your name, and how old are you?" My name is Enzo Miguel Dela Cruz," he stammered softly. "I'm 10 years old." "Ah, 10, Bruno said, clasping his hands. "Are you nervous?" "A little bit," Enzo admitted, glancing down at his shoes. Simon leaned forward. "Where are you from, Enzo?" "I'm from the Philippines, sir." "Ah," Simon said, his tone softening slightly. "That's a long way to come. Why did you decide to audition for Britain's Got Talent?" Enzo took a deep breath. Because I want to make my mama proud. And," his voice cracked slightly, "I want to sing for my papa. He's in heaven now." The audience fell silent. Simon's eyes flickered with a rare gentleness. "I see," he said quietly. "Well, Enzo, I think your papa's already very proud of you. What are you going to sing for us today?" Enzo swallowed hard. "I'll be singing Nessun Dorma by Puccini." A collective murmur spread through the audience. Even Amanda's eyebrows shot up. "Wow," Alicia said, impressed. "That's not an easy song." "Are you sure?" "Yes, ma'am," Enzo replied with a small nod. "I've been practicing it for my papa since I was 7. Simon leaned back in his chair, intrigued. "All right, Enzo, let's hear it." The music began, soft, orchestral, delicate. Enzo closed his eyes. For a few seconds, it was just silence and the faint hum of violins. Then, he opened his mouth, and a voice unlike any 10-year-old's voice filled the room. Rich, powerful, pure. It was the kind of sound that seemed to float straight from heaven itself, haunting and angelic, yet bursting with emotion far beyond his years. His small frame trembled with passion as he sang the opening notes of Nessun Dorma. The hall transformed, the chatter stopped, the cameras zoomed in, and even Simon Cowell's expression changed from curiosity to disbelief. The audience watched in stunned awe as Enzo's voice soared higher, his pronunciation clear, his control perfect. Every crescendo carried his soul, every soft phrase whispered the pain of a boy who had known loss too early. Maria, standing backstage, had tears running down her cheeks. She had heard her son sing hundreds of times before, but never like this. This was different. This was destiny unfolding. By the time Enzo reached the final, spine-tingling, Vincero, the entire audience was on its feet. The applause thundered like a storm. People screamed, some even cried. Simon Cowell, stoic, known for his cold critiques, sat perfectly still, eyes glistening. Then, slowly, he stood. He clapped, hard. The audience roared even louder, realizing what they were witnessing. Simon Cowell, the toughest judge on earth, was on his feet, his eyes watery, his usual smirk replaced by something real. When the applause finally softened, Amanda wiped her eyes. "Enzo, I don't even know what to say." That was heavenly. Alicia nodded, visibly moved. You sang like an angel, Enzo. Your voice, it carried emotion in every note. I think everyone here felt your love for your father. Bruno put his hand over his heart. I'm Italian, and I've heard Nessun Dorma many times, but never, ever like that. You are a miracle, Enzo. A true gift. Finally, Simon leaned toward his microphone. His voice was quiet, but heavy with sincerity. Enzo, he said, pausing, I've been doing this show for a long time. I've heard thousands of singers, but every once in a while, someone reminds me what this show is really about. It's about hope. It's about heart. And you, my boy, have both. He blinked back tears, took a deep breath, and said, this is for your dad. Then he slammed the golden buzzer. Dash dash dash. Gold confetti exploded from the ceiling as the audience erupted in cheers. Enzo's eyes widened in disbelief as he fell to his knees, overwhelmed. Maria rushed onto the stage, hugging him tightly as Simon walked over, tears glistening in his eyes. Your father is smiling right now, Simon whispered, kneeling to Enzo's level. That was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard. Enzo buried his face in his mother's shoulder, crying, not from sadness, but from the sheer weight of joy. Dash dash dash. News of Enzo's audition spread like wildfire. Within hours, the video had gone viral, amassing millions of views across YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Headlines read, greater than, 10-year-old Filipino opera prodigy stuns Britain's Got Talent. Simon Cowell moved to tears by boy from Manila. From poverty to the golden buzzer, Enzo Dela Cruz's inspiring journey. People from around the world flooded the comments with praise and admiration. Messages of support came from Italy, Japan, the United States, and, of course, the Philippines. Enzo became a symbol of hope, not just for young singers, but for every Filipino chasing a dream despite hardship. Dash dash dash. A few weeks later, during the semi-finals, Enzo returned to the stage, this time wearing a tailored white suit donated by a British designer who had seen his audition. The crowd went wild when he appeared. Simon smiled proudly as Enzo prepared to sing again, this time, Ave Maria. The moment the first note escaped his lips, silence fell once more. His voice seemed even more powerful now, as though he had grown in confidence and grace. The entire hall glowed in the golden light, and somewhere backstage, Maria clasped her hands and whispered a prayer of gratitude. When he finished, tears flowed freely throughout the room. Even the cameramen struggled to hold steady as they captured the unforgettable image of a 10-year-old boy bowing humbly before a crying audience. Simon, still emotional, said, Enzo, there's no way a 10-year-old should be able to sing like that. You don't just have talent, you have a soul that speaks through music. I think you've already changed lives. Dash dash dash. In the grand finale, Enzo stood among the top contenders, adults with years of training, professionals who had performed on stages across the world. Yet when his name was called, the audience screamed his name louder than anyone else. That night, he sang, Time to Say Goodbye, dedicating it once again to his late father and to every child who dared to dream despite life's hardships. The final notes left everyone breathless. As he sang, Con te partirò, Simon closed his eyes, letting a tear roll freely down his cheek. It was no longer just a competition, it was a story of love, loss, and triumph. When the votes were announced, the theater shook. Enzo Miguel Dela Cruz, just 10 years old, from a poor family in Manila, was crowned the winner of Britain's Got Talent. Dash dash dash. After the show, Simon personally approached Enzo and Maria backstage. You've reminded the world what true talent looks like, he said. We'll make sure your voice is heard everywhere. True to his word, Simon arranged for Enzo to receive professional training and helped launch his first album, Songs for Papa. The album debuted at #1 in the UK classical charts, breaking records as the youngest classical singer to achieve such a feat. Enzo's story didn't end there. He performed at the Royal Variety Show, the Vatican, and even at the United Nations. Every time, he carried the same humility, the same old photo of his father tucked in his pocket, close to his heart. When asked in an interview how he felt about his journey, Enzo smiled shyly and said, I just wanted to sing for my papa and make my mama proud. I didn't expect the world to listen. Dash dash dash. Years later, Enzo would return to the Britain's Got Talent stage, not as a contestant, but as a guest performer. Now 17, with a maturing voice and a growing global fan base, he sang the same song that started it all, Nessun Dorma. As he hit that final, triumphant, vincero, Simon once again stood up, clapping with tears in his eyes. After the performance, he hugged Enzo and said softly, "You made me cry again, you little superstar." The audience laughed and cheered, but deep down, they all knew they had witnessed something far greater than talent. They had witnessed a miracle born out of struggle, love, and music. Enzo Miguel Dela Cruz, the poor 10-year-old Filipino opera singer who once sang barefoot in the streets of Manila, had not only brought Simon Cowell to tears but had touched the hearts of millions across the globe. And every time he sang, he whispered the same silent prayer into the lights above. "Papa, this is for you."